1. You're live.
I'd like to call the agenda of the Belton City Council electronic meeting, November 10th, 2020. I will lead in the Pledge of Allegiance at this time. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen. Okay, roll call, please.
Mayor Davis.
Here.
Councilmember Savage.
Here.
Councilmember Lathrop.
Here.
Councilmember Trutzel.
Here.
Councilmember Van Winkle.
Here.
Councilmember Clark.
Here.
Councilmember Finn.
Here.
Councilmember Davidson.
Here.
Councilmember Peak.
Here.
Okay, personal appearances, we have none this evening. Consent agenda. One motion, non-debatable, to approve the recommendations noted. Any member of the council may ask for an item to be taken from the consent agenda for discussion and separate action.
Present.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Trutzel, second by Councilman Finn. Okay, discussion. Looking for hands. Councilman Savage.
Yeah, we'd pull D for discussion.
Pulling D. Okay. Any others? Councilman Lathrop? You're muted, Councilman Lathrop.
How's that?
That's got it.
D, E, and F.
Okay, we'll pull those three. So we'll still have A, B, and C. Any others? Seeing none. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Well, how many did we have passed, and did everybody vote yay, ayes? Your load problem here. Did we pass them all? What'd you get, Andrea, for a reading?
Yes, I believe everything that we did not pull was approved.
Got it.
And now we have letters D, E, and F to discuss.
All right, D, a motion approving Resolution R 2020-82.
A resolution approving the use of ETC Institute, a market research and community survey services firm, to design, administer, analyze, and report statistical valid data regarding recycling interest in the city of Belton, Missouri, with said survey paid via 80/20 grant from Mark.
Okay, questions?
We need a
Motion
motion and a
second.
second first.
Motion and
Motion.
second first.
Yes.
Second.
Motion and second. Did you get those?
I had Councilmember Clark for the first, but who was the second?
Savage.
Thank you.
Okay, discussion now. Was it Council Savage? Savage, you're up.
Yes, that's what I pulled, just for discussion on the 80/20 split. I get that. Is there been any new information about anyone who has the ability to really recycle, or are they still storing this stuff? Even if we found a way, if we got anybody to take the product, I guess that would be a valid question.
City Manager?
Yes, WCA, our solid waste hauler, does have a recycling program, although they are still storing some recycling product. So it comes with a fee. And that is part of what the survey is to determine, there's many questions that we're still working with ETC Institute to formulate the questions, but this is just a general survey of, are you interested in recycling? Yes, no. Do you currently recycle? Are you using existing programs? If you do use existing programs, what are you recycling? And are you willing to pay for that recycling, knowing that there's a cost associated with it, so that we can get all that data and bring it back to you to let you know either A, yes, the citizens want this, B, they want it with this caveat, and all down the line to be able to provide that information. But you're correct, Councilman Savage, there's only a few markets that are actually recyclable, that see any type of, that are lucrative. Um, things like plastic are very limited, and even some paper and cardboard product are limited now. And so they'll tell you that there is a market for it, but it comes at a cost. And now people are still recycling, but it comes with a fee. And
So
then that
will-
would be reflected further in once we find out if there's an interest or not, if it were to go further, then we would have to go back out to these programs and find out what the cost would be for either curbside or a recycling center, or just keep it the way it is, where people are using Casco or Redbridge.
So if there is a survey done, will it be selected to the items that they'll be taking so that the folks would know what that's going to be?
Not at this point.
You went away.
Not at this point. At this point, we're just trying to determine the interest and whether people are actually recycling in Belton, if they're willing to pay for recycling, if it were to come into Belton versus going to either Harrisonville or Redbridge, and to let the council know what the interest is from the community.
It just seems like that if they don't know the whole thing, their answer might be different. So it might be something to think about on that part. And what is the cost to the city going to be on this?
It's about $2,800 of
Thank
an
you.
overall 16,000 plus cost to do the survey.
Thank you.
Other comments or questions? Councilman Clark.
I just basic question. For some reason, I thought we voted on this already, like a couple weeks ago, a couple meetings ago. Maybe I missed it. So I apologize, but I thought we already voted on to do a study.
Actually, what you voted on was accepting the grant to be able to do this survey. This is the actual contract for ETC to actually do the actual survey itself. So it required two separate actions.
All right, thank you.
Councilman Van Winkle.
Yes. I guess I'm wondering if we're gonna do this survey, why aren't we taking the time to get at least some kind of a dollar range to put out there so our results from the survey really reflect what people are gonna want, as opposed to coming back later and winging it or having to pay for another survey?
No, at this time, what we've talked with Jason, who's helping us do the survey, we've talked about putting in a dollar threshold of if it costs X amount, up to X amount, are you interested? If it's up to this amount, are you interested? If it's up to this amount, are you interested? Because we know from when we did the original solid waste bid, that there were two providers that bid on recycling, curbside recycling, and it was over $9 a month just to do recycling. And that was, a year ago. So what I until we determine what that desire is to go back and determine what that is, but we are putting questions into the survey to see what the threshold is that people would be willing to pay.
Okay, so if I understand you right, you're at least asking if you're in this range of cost, are you interested? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, and the other part is that it's not just about curbside recycling. It could be a recycling facility that's located in Belton that they could use, that could come at a lower cost.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions? Councilman Lathrop.
Well, I have one on this one, that we had a bid of 14,480 a month ago. And on this contract here, it's for 19,712. Where did we miss out there?
Well, I would have to take a look at this, Councilman Lathrop, and I definitely will. But what we were looking at before were estimates that they gave us previously when we applied for the grant. And now that we are actually looking at what the questions are going to be for the actual survey itself, this is their revised amount.
One other question. It's at 80-20%. We're on the 20%, I'm assuming. Okay.
Good question. Any other questions? All right, we've got a motion and a second. No other discussion. Seeing none. By hand, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? That motion passes. E, a motion approving Resolution R 2020-83.
Resolution approving task agreement 2020-6 with Wilson and Company to complete a watershed study for drainage improvements in the area of Hargis Gardens neighborhood in the not to exceed amount of $84,500.
Got a motion? That's
Motion to
Second.
present.
You got a second? Did you get one, Andrea? Okay. Did we get it, Andrea?
Andrea, Lori Peak, motion, and David
I'm sorry.
Clark.
I was muted, I'm sorry. Did Councilmember Clark Savage second?
I seconded.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So, motion and second, discussion. Who was it that wanted this one? Councilman Lathrop, what do we got?
Well, I want to know how much we spent on getting the several studies that we already had done on this. And
In actuality, Councilman Lathrop, this is a separate study. We've had other studies done for the actual Hargis Gardens through that is north of 58. This will start at south of 58, the drainage that goes down through that area, as we're looking at the water flow that comes out of the lake and drains to the south. And that's what this watershed study is for, because we're looking at the problem areas that we have downstream.
okay.
That's the area where it goes through Buena Vista that floods all the time, all the way down to South Park that floods. And so this will be the research that we need to know what we need to do. And I think
Well,
you're working with the school district on that also, aren't you? Okay, so it's a good deal. Other comments or questions? Seeing none. All in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed? That motion passes. I got to get my hand down quicker. Okay. On to F, motion approving resolution R 2020-84.
A resolution approving an agreement between the city of Belton, Missouri and Baker Tilly and authorizing the execution of the same.
Is it?
Second.
And a second. Discussion. Who brought that? Well, Councilman Lathrop, what's your concern?
Well, my concern is it says chief building. What are we talking about there? Chief building officer.
Yeah, the chief building official, our former one, Brian Hunt, and before that was Jim Brown. They both left the city, and now we've been without a chief building official. That does require a special area of expertise, and we've been unable to find somebody that has that. We have tried for quite a few months, and therefore I would like to utilize the services of a recruitment firm to help us find someone who can fill that position.
I wasn't aware that we hadn't had anybody in that position, and when I said Sid's chief on there, I thought it was chief of police, and I knew we already had somebody doing that. So, thank you.
How busy is that position? How busy will they be if we do find somebody?
The chief building official is a full-time position. It provides oversight of inspections and code enforcement, and helps with all facets of the planning and building department.
Other discussion, concerns? Seeing none, for a vote, all in favor?
No.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Anybody? Seeing none, that motion passes. Regular agenda. A motion approving the first reading of bill number 2020-50.
An ordinance of the city of Belton, Missouri, calling for and establishing the date of the general city election for municipal officers to be held on April 6, 2021.
Present.
Motion and a second. Discussion. Seeing none. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Move for
Any
second reading.
opposed?
Second.
Who made the motion, please? I had Councilmember Finn as the second.
I had
Thank you.
Dave Clark made a motion for a second reading.
Thank you, Councilman Clark.
Discussion? Seeing none. We'll read it again. All in favor
We-
for a second reading?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Councilwoman Davidson? And that motion passes. Motion approving the second reading of Bill number 2020-50.
An ordinance of the city of Belton, Missouri, calling for and establishing the date of the general city election for municipal officers to be held on April 6, 2021.
Present. Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion. Councilman Clark, do you have a question? Or are you just adjusting?
Just Justin. Can't see you that good, Mayor.
Okay. Anybody else? Seeing none? Councilwoman Peak, you have a comment. Where are you?
No, I don't.
Okey-doke. All right. Seeing none. We have a roll call.
Aye.
Will-
Ms. Davidson first.
Aye. Second.
Aye.
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 That motion carries. Thank you. This is tough. Okay. B, a motion approving the first reading of Bill number 2020-51.
An ordinance approving the 2021 intergovernmental agreement with the Mid-America Regional Council Solid Waste Management District for participation in the Regional Household Hazardous Waste Program.
Present.
Present.
Second.
Motion and second. Discussion. Councilman Clark, you got a motion? You got
No,
a,
I just didn't know if she knew that I said that.
okay. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes. C, a motion approving the first reading of Bill number 2020-52.
An ordinance of the city of Belton, Missouri, approving a cooperative agreement between the city of Belton, Missouri and the Mid-America Regional Council for funding operations of Operation Green Light Traffic Control System in the amount of $8,400.
Present.
I'll second.
Motion, Councilman Lathrop, and a second by Councilman Savage. Discussion. Seeing none. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes. Okay. City Council Liaison Reports. Park. Councilwoman Davidson.
The holiday craft fair that was scheduled for November 14th has been canceled. The park staff continues to work on budget as COVID is taking its toll on our local facilities and programs. The Parks Department has started the winterization process of outside facilities and that's near completion. That also means that outdoor restrooms facilities will be locked up. The mayor's Christmas tree lighting, I'll let you talk about later if you want to. And then the Parks Department is also, again, co-sponsoring Operation Santa with the Belton Welfare Association. They will be collecting new toys, non-perishable food items, and new hats, scarves, and mittens to be distributed to local families in need. There are other city locations where food and toy barrels are available as well. And that's it.
And what's the date that we're going to do the mayor's, the online lighting of the Christmas tree?
It's
I don't know.
November 23rd.
November 23rd. Thank you very much. I got up here the mayor's Christmas tree on the mayor's communication. Andrea, I'm going to put you on the spot. How much money for the Children's Welfare Association have we garnered so far?
I think Councilmember Van Winkle has a question first.
Okay, Councilman Van Winkle.
Yeah, I just wanted to, in the liaison from the councilman and council people, we had a public safety sales tax oversight committee meeting, which I'm the liaison with. I didn't see anything in the agenda, but I just wanted to make a note that we did have a meeting on October 28th for the committee. It was well attended. I couldn't say everyone was there, but I know we had over 13 people on the Zoom meeting. And Sheila provided some good financial reports that included tax revenues and public safety expenditures related to the public safety sales tax. There were no concerns by the committee voiced at that time, and to my knowledge, they haven't at all at this point. And we set a date for our next meeting, which is April 28th. And that's all I've got. Thanks.
Good stuff. Back to the mayor's Christmas tree real quick. What was it that we had so far, Andrea, for Children's Welfare Association?
We've received around $7,500 so far in donations.
So we've still got to get some money in there to get close to what we did last year. And it's tough times, and we really appreciate everything everybody's doing.
Mayor,
Oh,
can you swing by and pick one up?
Okay, that's good stuff. I wondered, you said you're going to get it up here soon. I thought I was going to have to go down.
I'm too
with the police
busy.
officer.
If you can swing by, I'll have it up at the front desk for you.
Okay, doke. Mayor's Christmas tree again is on the December 23rd, and it's at 5:30. November 23rd. I'm thinking about my birthday. All right. Now, keep remembering now, we got Thanksgiving coming up, Christmas, that we have to celebrate safely. And tomorrow is Veterans Day. And we want to honor and respect our veterans. And you veterans that are out there, raise your hand. Anybody on the council who I know you are, that are veterans? Yeah. So it's important that people know that you have to be safe. I know I've been for years going to different functions with lots of people, lots of veterans, and we appreciate them. And you know that Belton is proud of our military veterans. And we still have a bunch of action out on Richards Gebaur Base. We have all kinds of outfits out there still working. Show them some appreciation if you see them. Show them some love, because they're important and have been in the past, and we don't want to forget our veterans. Cleveland Lake, I was going to share with you. I was out walking there the other day, and they had stocked it with rainbow trout. And people were catching these rainbow trout. They are beautiful fish. I've never seen so many people out there fishing for rainbow trout. Before that, they'd stocked it with catfish. It's pretty neat to see all those people out walking. And now tonight I walked before coming here, and there was 6 or 7 anglers out there fishing for rainbow trout. It was pretty cool. Also, the State of the City was today. The mayor's State of the City, the chamber put it on. And of course, we did it via the same way we're going tonight. And it went really well. And I want to encourage you all to watch this. There was great items of our staff of what they've done this year, the accomplishments. I want everybody to look at those water lines. We had great stuff there today, and you can watch it anytime you want. But our staff's doing a great job, and they're trying to make Belton a better place. So remember your first responders who are putting their lives in danger every day. Our police, our fire, our public works today. I mean, anytime you're out in the public, you're going to be our workers at the front windows. They're putting themselves at danger. You got to care for these people and show them some love again. So citizens, be sure that you care about these people because they're putting a lot out there. There's a lot of hungry people out there right now, poor people. I pray for poor and hungry every morning, first thing as I'm walking, because I still see homeless people a lot. You got to care for these people, and you got to respect the fact that these homeless people, it's getting into the cold area. In the mayor's state of the city today, we were talking about the cold and the breaks of the water breaks. We've had how many now? 21, I think we said this morning. It's added since we started it.
Greg will
20
be up in a minute to provide an update in that area.
Yeah, and I'm saying, folks, that it's not even cold yet. I mean, really cold. 21 water breaks in Belton because the infrastructure is old. And if you look at the iron, if you look at the state of the city and see that water line, you're going to go, you got to spend more money, Mayor, to fix. Council members, we got to fix these water lines. These iron ones are just terrible. And they're doing a great job. So show them some love also. Good stuff, though. But they're doing a great job. So again, I encourage you to watch that. Communications here, we got the city manager first. It's a manager report.
Thank you, Mayor. Really don't have too much to report other than Greg, I think you're here. If you don't mind, do you have an update as to the condition of the water lines and where we're at recently?
Since our last meeting, we've had 7 more water line breaks. That's just in the last 2 weeks. And like the mayor said, that hasn't gotten cold yet, but these drop in temperatures like today, it's basically 40 degrees difference. It's going to cause more breaks this week. So we're anticipating having a lot of breaks in the next couple of weeks. That's all I have.
Greg, on the video of the water line, I've never seen anything like that. That's just an incredible picture. The pictures speak 1,000 words. And the public ought to see that and then get why we spend so much money on infrastructure and about how we've let it go for a long, long time. So it's great that y'all are doing that work. We really appreciate it. Well, go ahead. I'm sorry.
That's okay, Mayor. Thank you so much. Also want to let council know that the November 24th meeting may be a bit long. We do have a couple of items on the work session that evening. And so we will try to keep it as focused as possible to not have a long evening, but there are some things that we do need to cover. So that'll be coming up, and then our regular meetings in December of the 8th and the 22nd. And at this point, Mayor, I believe that you were going to speak with Chief Person about the status of COVID and the reports from the health department.
Chief, where do we start on this? This is really serious. We both sat in on a meeting. I think the city manager sat in on that one also with the hospitals in the Kansas City area. You want to start on that one real quick?
Yes, I would like to start out by saying that our numbers in the county, our numbers in the state, and the country have all experienced a tremendous surge in the last several weeks. No one wants to be setting records, but we have in the number of COVID cases in the county over the last 3 weeks had our last highest numbers of confirmed cases over those last 3 weeks. The week that just ended was our highest week to date, and we had about 260 cases in that 1 week. The numbers in Belton and Raymore, the north part of the county, being the most populated part of the county, make up about half of all of the numbers of positive cases within the county. Today, we had 50 new cases in the county for the week already. And we're just talking the first 3 days of the week, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. We're at 130 cases in just those 3 days. So we are on pace to beat last week's record, which beat the record, which was the week before, which beat the record that was the week before. We also recorded an additional death today in the county, which brings the death toll in Cass County attributed to COVID to 31 at this point. We are still hearing that the best way for us to combat COVID is to wash your hands, to socially distance, 6 feet, 10 feet is better, and to wear a mask. I don't know how else to continue to say that. The congregating, the getting together for meals, all of those things that we all enjoy to do, the things that my large family enjoys doing, all have been traced to the infection of COVID in the general public. So we need to be conscious of that and redouble efforts to try to stay as healthy as we all can and to help it set the example to others to do the same. We have a daily meeting, conference call of key leaders in the county. And on that meeting today were our hospital administrators in Cass County, Belton Regional, as well as Cass Regional. Last Friday, there was a meeting that I was part of all of the hospital administrators in the greater Kansas City area. And all of them are saying the same thing, that we are reaching, if not at capacity, as far as hospital beds and being able to provide services to positive COVID patients. Our hospitalization rate is up, and they are actually converting other wards within the hospital to treat COVID patients. So we need to be cognizant of that and understand that the science is telling us that the disease is not going away. They told us in the spring that there would be another surge in the fall, and we are here. It's the fall, and it is surging larger than what we have had before. We are hoping for and anticipating a vaccine, but until that vaccine is available, we need to take personal responsibility of our health and as leaders, the health of our community.
What are they doing at our local research hospital with the number of people? Of course, we transfer most of ours, or all of ours, eventually to downtown research. What are we doing because they're full?
The hospitals in Cass County are part of HCA. HCA's policy has been, once a COVID patient is identified, all of the HCA patients are transferred to Research Hospital in Kansas City. Research is approaching capacity, and they are having to hold patients longer in our county hospitals. Belton specifically is holding patients within their emergency room. They have negative pressure rooms designed for infectious disease within the emergency room. They have private rooms where they can isolate those folks, and they're holding them until they can be transferred to Research Hospital. But that, in order for them to do that, Research has to free up a bed. So they are holding patients for longer periods of time than what they had been. And once again, our hospitals are reaching capacity, not only for available beds, but they are also reaching capacity because of personnel, because their personnel are being affected now also because of disease. One example was they had a unit with 10 employees and they were down 5 of them. So they are looking for additional help in the hospitals. I also had a conversation with Dr. Underwood just before this meeting, and they are having issues with filling personnel also because there's a shortage and has been a shortage for quite a while of substitute teachers. So as they need fill-ins, they are having to call in all sorts of reserves in order to be able to find enough substitutes to fill those classrooms.
Wild times. So I hope everybody catches the brevity of how serious, and you'd like for people to do the right thing and be smart on the distancing and the hand sanitizing, all the special things we've known for almost a year, going into 2/3 of a year. We've got to be smart. And yet people still just don't want to wear their mask. And a lot of businesses are saying you have to wear a mask to go in, and people get upset. The way that I've always looked at it is, I don't want to be the person that spreads infection to somebody else. That's got to be the mentality. It may not protect me as much, but I want to protect somebody else. If you look at the numbers, the ages, Chief, what are we seeing? The age groups. I'm seeing kids as age of 2 years old, 4 years old. I mean, it's insane. It's getting down into the youth. And we have to be, again, cognizant of the brevity of how important it is to do your special part of it. You've got to do it. You got to care for it. So I hope everybody catches this everywhere at home, that you have to do your part. So with that, I'll move to now. If anybody else has a comment on that, okay.
Mr. Mayor,
go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, one other thing. It's not just the person that tests positive for COVID, because it's every person that person would have had positive contact with. So for instance, at the police department, if we have a positive contact, if we have someone that tests positive, one of our employees, that can affect a dozen other employees that are all off now because they can't be at work if they've had contact with the person that's positive. The same thing happens at our hospitals. The same thing happens at our schools. It's not that it may not be that there's a large contingency of workers that are ill, but the quarantining of those that may have had contact affects things tremendously.
City Manager, how close are we maybe going to, like we've done before, shutting down? How close?
Well, Mayor, there's been no specific decision made on that. But it is a topic of conversation that's been happening with the leadership group, specifically Chief Person, myself, Chief Sapp, and Sheila Ernzen, our Assistant City Manager, and looking at ensuring that we're keeping all of our employees isolated to some extent and working separately to ensure that we are able to continue working, that nobody contracts it from here, and so that we can continue to provide services, because all of our employees are essential.
How long have you had a mask rule for employees? Yeah, well, but I just told you that I just saw where Harrisonville, Chief, I think they're mandating mask at all. Is it all businesses or business?
Harrisonville put out on their Facebook page today that they are ordering masks in all city buildings. We've been doing that, I think, since about April, maybe May, but we have had mask order for city buildings, for months.
Only since July.
July. Well,
July.
that's still months.
It's still March.
What about, what are we doing too with different, if people haven't been into City Hall? What do we got now when people come in?
Yes, at the front of City Hall as well as the annex, there are automatic temperature readers that people can walk up to without having to touch anything and have their temperature taken either from their forehead or from their wrist. We also have hand sanitizer at all the buildings, and people have been very good. Unfortunately, on shut-off day, when we have a large crowd in the lobby, they've been very good about socially distancing and ensuring that if there is more in the lobby that can fit, they wait outside in a line outside City Hall. So they've been good about that so far. And those are the type things. And we also will have masks available. If people come in without a mask, we offer them a mask.
And the employees that come in from the parking lot, they have the same thing. We have to check ourselves, have our masks. So it's very safe, conscientious. Councilwoman Davidson, you had your hand.
Yeah, I mean, I probably sound like a broken record at this point, but I think that we need a mask mandate in Belton. I mean, we can have a philosophical debate, but you know, it's a big problem. It's a big problem when our local health providers are basically raising a red flag about the number of beds that we have available or that they have available, and we have to stall care or delay care for people in Cass County because we can't transfer them to a city hospital. I know right now we have 13 listed as hospitalized, which doesn't sound like a large number, but when you think that that's just representative of one county in the Kansas City area, that's 13 beds. That's significant. That just Cass Countyans are taking up. So that's just my 2 cents.
Well, along with that, in our report we had from the hospitals the other day, when Chief, we were on that, it's having the people to cover they don't have enough nurses. They're bringing in lots of people out of retirement to come and take care of those people in those beds.
Yeah, it's a snowball effect.
It is. It's getting wild. And I know we have a meeting with Commissioner Houston, I think, Chief, on Thursday. And the numbers are, you know, it's you can't dispute it. But it's going to come. It's going to come. The mandate, I believe, it will come. And it's not politics. The election, I think, is over. So we've got to do the right things. So care about each other. That's all I'm going to say about it. And but we've given you a good orientation on what's going on right now. Now, we did bring up one thing in that conversation, City Manager, which was a segue. What about all these power outages that we're having in the city?
Unfortunately, in the last month, we've had 2 power outages, basically on the southwest side of Main Street. It's been just in that service area. The first time I think we had something happen at one of the power plants, and then just last week we had a combine that actually hit one of the power poles and took it down. Evergy's been very quick to reply, and we've had power back on within a couple to 3 hours tops. And city staff continued to stay busy and did what they could with their paperwork. But when it goes down, the hardest part is what I do worry about is that when the power goes down, it's not just a clean break. It surges at least a half a dozen times, goes off, comes on, goes off, comes on. And it does it so quickly, you're not able to actually power down any of the equipment. So it's surging all of our equipment technology, our computers, our printers, our scanners, everything. Copiers, you name it, if it's plugged into electricity, it's surging. And so I do worry about its long-term effect, but IT has been keeping a really good track and watching them and making sure that everything is still in good shape. We are actually looking at the possibility of a backup generator. It just reminded us that while we've gone a long time without having any power outage, 2 times within a month does remind us that we do need some type of a emergency backup system. And so we're looking at pricing for a generator just for the server room.
Okay, any other communication from the City Council? Seeing none. I would
Move to adjourn.
Who was it? Councilman Lathrop?
I'll second it.
Councilman Clark? Motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none? Or did you raise your hand, Councilwoman Davidson?
No.
No.
No, either one of you? Can you guys tell who I'm pointing at? Oh, that's kind of crazy. Okay, we got a motion and a second. No discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries and we are adjourned. Thank you.